Hello, everyone. Welcome to Online Seller UK Podcast. My name is Prabhat, your host for today. And I'm joined by Ben from Ecommerce. He is also a founder of Beast Grear and also a co-founder of Ecommerce Brokers. So, Ben, welcome to our podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's good to be on the show.
Excellent. So, the topic for today, how to make your business or e-commerce business sellable. So, it's a really good topic. And I think it's very common these days in last maybe few months or maybe last year. So why are people start to sell their business, Ben?
When getting into e-commerce really kicked off, particularly Amazon, it was a gold rush to generate some income. But people are beginning to realize that there's only so long you can do that. And the real or the more sustainable way to build wealth in e-commerce is to create a valuable asset, which you can then sell. And it used to be that buying and selling e-commerce businesses was quite rare. If you told somebody you wanted to buy or sell an e-commerce business, they would look at you as if you were from another planet, because people didn't believe that e-commerce businesses were real businesses. If they didn't have a roof and a door and four walls, they weren't a real business. So selling and buying e-commerce businesses has only become mainstream in the last few years. And so the conversation has changed, and that's why people are beginning to think about creating their e-commerce business in such a way that they can sell it.
Okay, excellent. So, we know you're founder of Beast Gear. So tell us a little bit story behind, how you started with your e-commerce brokers company, and what's the story behind your Beast Gear?
Yeah, absolutely. So Beast Grear is the business that I started and then grew and then sold. And it was it was actually the first business to be acquired from the UK by Thrasio, which means it was one of the first e-commerce businesses to be sold in the UK. That was in late 2019. I started that business in 2016 as a hobby. I wanted to create a brand of fitness equipment, of better fitness equipment that was better value for money than what was available. And it turned out I was good at it. So I quit my job, I scaled it up, but we were doing about £4 million, $6 million US in sales when I sold it in late 2019. And I sold it through a broker, and that broker wasn't great. And I was very fortunate because the accountancy firm who looked after Beast Gear's accounts, the director of that firm, Alison, tidied up that broker's mess and kind of fixed things, saved the day, really. And so at the end of the process, she and I said to each other, well, there's an obvious gap here to create a better brokerage. So we combined our skills, me on the e-commerce side, understanding everything from, developing products and brand to marketing them, and Alison on the mergers and acquisitions and accounting side. And we created Ecombrokers, the first specialist e-commerce brokerage in the UK. And here we are today. I'm still building brands today because I love it. And it also means that I can relate to our clients. I understand what it's like to be in their position of owning and operating an e-commerce business. And yeah, that's how we came to be.
Yeah, what a good story, and an encouraging one for a lot of private label sellers who have started to build it, and some of thinking of it. So,
Yeah.
and it's not an easy job to start and build a brand. There is a lot of effort that goes into it, and I think if you think about the time, not about the money, but the time you put in, it's a lot of time you put into your business, right? So obviously, when you sell, you want to get the best value. So to attract a better value, so what should we need to do to make it
Yeah.
sellable or valuable? So what should we do for that?
Start with the end in mind and build a business which, when you put yourself in the shoes of the potential buyer, is going to be something they would want to buy. It's a bit like when you're trying to sell your house and you prepare your house for sale, you are thinking about, well, what are the things we need to fix or make better to make this attractive for someone to want to buy it? And so for an e-commerce business, timing is vital, because not only do you want to time it to your advantage, you want to time it to the buyer's advantage. In order to make the business attractive to them, there needs to be some benefit for them to buy it, which means there still needs to be some some growth potential left. There need to be levers that they can still pull to squeeze some value out of the business for them. So for example, perhaps your business is growing, but there's clear growth opportunity by, say, adding more products or moving into other international territories or moving on to other markets. Your business needs to be stable. So nobody wants to buy a business which is perhaps in a niche, which is a bit of a fad or has not yet been proven. And nobody wants to buy a business which is not easily transferable, right? You need to have created systems and processes so that a potential buyer can drop their business into their existing setup. And your business really wants to be as low risk as possible, which means diversifying it. You don't have to diversify it across every aspect of the business, but at least a few. So for example, have a couple of different sales channels, at least beyond your own website and Amazon, or Walmart and Amazon, or eBay and Amazon. Be, if not in more than one international market, then clearly let there be an opportunity to expand. So if you're in the US, great, come to the UK where the opportunity to obviously expand to Europe is there, for example. And don't put all your eggs in one basket in terms of products. If you only have one or two products, that's a bit risky. If you have a good number of SKUs, then should anything happen to any of your products, then you can eat that and the risk is diminished for a potential buyer. But those are just a few examples. It's all about putting yourself in the position of the potential buyer and asking yourself, what would they want in a business that they're going to buy?
And with what business itself, when people look for buying one, so like you mentioned, some of the criteria, is business growth the main criteria there?
People talk a lot and have spoken a lot fairly recently, others in this space, about 4 main aspects that contribute to value. And I'm going to mention them what they are, and then I'm going to explain the 5th one that I think is more important. Growth, clearly very important. Buyers want to see a business which has growth history and clearly will continue to grow. Risk, they want to lower risk in some of the ways that I just mentioned. They want a business which is transferable and a business which is well documented. So you have all of your intellectual property well documented, all of your tax details, etc., etc. All need to be in good order. But there's a 5th thing that I think underpins all of this. And it hasn't been very important in this space to date, but it is now and it will be going forward, and that is brand. It's having a brand identity, because investors are not particularly interested in acquiring e-commerce businesses which are selling a mishmash of stuff, because there's no longevity or sustainability in that. It's really a race to the bottom. Anyone can just go and do that. So they're not buying anything. There's a lot of risk there, basically. But if you build a brand and you consider that you have built a legitimate brand and you're selling on sales channels like Amazon, Walmart, your own website, Etsy, and don't make the mistake of pigeonholing yourself into one sales channel. Don't call yourself an Amazon business. There's only one Amazon business and it's owned by Jeff. You have a business which happens to sell on Amazon, right? But when you build a brand, which is, there's several ways to think of a brand, but I often think of it like this: a group of products which solve related problems for a particular group of people. So that could be knitters or Harley Davidson enthusiasts. That's a brand. And then your branding is how you make those people feel. And your marketing is how you tell people about it. And when you do those things to create a brand, you have something sustainable and of value that is tangible, that somebody wants to buy. I want to buy that brand rather than I want to buy that business that sells a variety of stuff online.
Okay, no, that's a really good point. And the brand itself is a big potential there. So when then you start approaching or trying to find people to buy it, so, or in other words, how do you go about finding a buyer to sell your business?
Yep. So you don't necessarily need to find a buyer. You would be better to find a brokerage, essentially,
Hmm.
or digital investment bank, but more often a brokerage, to do several things. First of all, ascertain what your business is worth on the market now,
Hmm.
and then plan and execute an exit strategy. And part of their job will be to find the right buyer for you. And a buyer might be a private individual, it might be a competitor, it might be a family office, it might be an aggregator, which we've heard a lot
Hmm.
about in the last couple of years,
Hmm.
or it might be a more mature private equity backed family of brands who are now moving into the e-commerce space, for example. But yeah, it's not really, you don't, as the business owner, you don't particularly need to worry about finding a buyer. You need to worry about finding the right organization to plan and then execute your exit strategy. And part of that and part of their remit will be finding the buyer.
Okay, absolutely. So I understand you help people broker between buying and selling side of things. So, so if I typically contact you to start interest of actually selling my business, my Amazon business. So from the time I start communicating with you, how long does it take to actually finish up the process? Does it take 6 months, a year? So how long does it take?
The answer is it depends,
Hmm.
because some people will come to us and we will analyze their business and come to an indicative valuation. And we might say, Prabhat, your business is worth between 700 and 850,000 pounds. And you
Hmm.
might say, excellent, let's take it to market. And then very quickly, we might be able to find you a buyer, because we've done all the homework in terms of getting you ready for due diligence. We've prepared a prospectus. We've already identified some of the right potential buyers. We
Hmm.
present the business to them, and they might tell us within hours whether they want to have a conversation with you. And then the deal can be done pretty quickly. Although it's always important to add that we don't deliberately rush. There are services out there who will say, flip your business with us in 30 days and we'll have the money in your bank account. We don't flip, we carefully sell. If somebody wants to go quickly, we'll go as quickly as we can, but always more haste, less speed. Let's get it right, because most people are only ever going to have one exit. But what you might have said when we told you your business was worth between 7 and 850,000 pounds is, well, I don't want to sell it for less than 1.5 million.
Hmm.
And we might say to you, that's never going to happen because, and then maybe there are things in your business or things in your industry that mean that just won't happen. Or we might say, absolutely, you can. These are the things you need to do. And it's going to take you 6, 9, 12, 18 months, whatever it might be. And we might send you on your way with some homework, if you like, or we might even sort of mentor you on a route to exit, helping you knock down these dominoes and keep a constant track of the business value. And when you're ready to go to market, we pull the trigger and we go to market. So it's about getting it right. So we play the long game and build relationships. And for some people, we'll sell their business very, very fast because that's what they need and want. And for some people, we'll say, you could sell it quite now for quite a lot, but let's hold on a second. You've got these other products to launch here. This is happening in your industry. Let's hang on another 4 or 6 months and then sell it. It's about getting it right.
Yeah. So from what I'm hearing from you, it's just that if I want to sell it next month, it's not that. It's about starting that conversation, because that might help my business establish to
Yeah,
get ready to sell. So
it's all about planning.
yeah.
And knowing what your business is worth. Some people say, I don't think I'm going to want to sell my business for a couple of years. And I say, great, find out what it's worth now and what are the things you can do now to help you over the next couple of years at a sensible and stress-free pace,
Hmm.
get everything lined up so that it is really attractive for a buyer.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Like you said, it's all about the plan. So I think we've had really good conversation from why to sell, how to sell, and so on. So, and it's a good story about yourself, which you shared at the start. So if somebody is to have a quick chat with you, so where's the best place to get to you, email you?
Sure. Yeah, several ways. You can head to our website, ecombrokers.co.uk, where you can click on value my business or sell my business. You can email me, ben@ecombrokers.co.uk. I'm on all the main social media channels at Ben Leonard Pro. I'm on LinkedIn. And if you want a little bit of light comedy relief, you can head to ecombrokers.co.uk/movie, where we just published some funny educational videos about exiting. So if anyone wants to take a little coffee break from running their business and have a look at that, that might be a fun thing to do as well.
Absolutely. So thank you, Ben, again for your time today, and I'll speak to you soon. All the best. Bye for now.
Great. Thanks, Prabhat.